And at first I didn't understand.
Well, this is the first one you didn't understand.
Many that I don't, but I'm trying to figure out what. But maybe expanding here at some point. But you'll see this square is like a freed, and you'll see what's going to happen with that square. Someone is going to need it. I'm not sure if he sees already at that point, Rubinstein sees that the purpose of that move, or he was just waiting to see what black is going to do.
I think he didn't want the knight pinned. I think he thought the knight was too valuable on c3.
Yeah, I mean pinning with the bishop.
And then a trade after. I think he thought that knight was more important.
Right, that's
bishop.
I think
that's also
escape
possible.
hatch for later, right?
Yeah.
Just escape hatch.
Yeah, so
Backs up.
basically whatever you do, because of that mutual adaptation of the two armies, you always wanna see through their intentions, the other side intentions, and react immediately. And that's what happened here. You'll see how it's gonna happen. It's very, very instructive. So pawn now attacking the bishop. In a way, it's like a weakening the king's guard position, right? So anytime we make a move, this square is like a little bit weaker now, but it asks the bishop, you know, to declare its intentions. It doesn't take; it simply retreats. Right? Again, influencing center. Right? If this is something that is going to happen, you saw the white takes control one more time and keeps control 1, 2, 3 times. So this is still not possible, right? And now black couldn't he simply released the tension. He takes the pawn. And now you're gonna see how that's gonna influence the game. Actually, his idea is, you'll see that, is to after the bishop move, he came up with an idea to exchange bishops. So bishop cannot go here because it's not protected, right? So it's only queen that may do that, right? So black releases tension here by taking, bishop takes, and now with a forcing move, right, attacking the bishop, it opens way for the queen to support that exchange. And now bishop gets down to that a2 square. You see how important it is. So it looks like that black goes with his plan with tempo, because this guy has to retreat. But that is not waste of time. It's actually right what white wanted to do. So now what happens here? It was exchange of bishops. So basically what happened with that maneuver, releasing tension in the center, attacking the bishop, and exchanging pawns, that was the plan. That was what black went for. But what actually happened, he created weaknesses. You see, dark square complex in a way is going to become weak. So that's exactly what white sensed. He saw that black squares, you see, it's something that your opponent did, that you actually react to it, and you are always in the essence, you are modifying, you are adapting your both strategy and tactics to what your opponent is doing. You're modifying your strategy and tactics to the situation of the enemy. So you can't just go, with your plan. If your opponent makes a move and you see, it's a considerable weakening or some strategic points, you stop with your previous plan. You change your plans on the fly, and you. So again, two wrestlers locked up in a hold, right? It's a move and counter move. The other guy is more important than you are. So let's see what happens next. What happens? So queen takes the bishop, and now you see white castles. All right, and now black doesn't see any role for the knight here. If it goes here, it could be exchanged, and then this guy attacks, so it wouldn't feel comfortable here in the center. So it gets back to support. Now we can see e6, e5 counter attack in the center, right? Because that bishop is like out, and now this may be played, right? The pawn would be attacked once, twice, but we are supporting it enough, 3 times. So after exchanges, black is fine. This guy gets into play, right? Right now it's buried behind. It's very bad piece, right? It's not developed. It can't move. Any piece that cannot move is bad, basically, unless it has some important function to. But here, this is what with this move black is planning on doing. White sees that and is playing the game according to Sun Tzu, that Chinese guy, a military commander and a strategist, who said, fight the enemy strategy. That's again something that is just adding to what we've said, right? You need to look at and watch for your opponent, for what his intentions. So white sees e5 is coming. Maybe he had some other ideas, I don't know, but he is actively now playing against, to stop in tracks that a freeing move by black. So how can he do that? How can he stop that e5 move?
Rook over.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thanks. You see, now this cannot be played because pawn takes and discovered attack on the queen. So that's what masters do all the time. That wrestling match between two sides, right? They just, move a counter move, give or take, mutual adaptation all the time. So that's what you need to do. You need to see through opponent intentions, to see what they're looking to do. So yeah, that's a also developing move, and also stopping that. So queen goes here, and now it looks once again that e pawn moves forward. How can white stop it, do something against it now? It blocks e5 square with The knight is jumping, crossing the middle line, and with its body, this is not possible right now. Guy takes, and now knight attacking the pawn, right? Knight attacking the pawn, right? So the only way to maybe knight, that's what most of us would do, right? Just protect the pawn, because it's very important pawn, right? Central pawn. Also controlling a important dark squares in black's position, right? After that exchange of bishops. But white doesn't care about the pawn. We're gonna see white attacking in a moment or two. And we know that for attacking force, they need to clear up lines of attack. And for those who've seen the game, that diagonal was of critical importance here. That square and this diagonal. So white, he doesn't care about the pawn. He lets a second player to take the pawn, and in that way that diagonal is going to open up. All right, so let's see what's the next. Now this is a move that is a something. It's a great move. Again, back to that wrestling match. Very important. So we are in that mutual adaptation. We are like wrestling all the time. So we wanna impose our will on the enemy, right? And how we do that? By shaping him. We can call it strategy, but strategy word itself, it doesn't say much. But when you say shape, you are like trying to identify weaknesses on the other side, or induce, you know, in a way black created weaknesses on dark square, but that wasn't enough for white to decisively, you know, strike. So now white, who sensed that weakness on dark squares, it induces another weakness, right? Attacking here. So this is the only way to close up that diagonal. And after pawn move, this square is now weaker, right? Pawn doesn't control that square anymore, and that big diagonal is going to open after this guy. This pawn's removal of the board, you know, that would be open, you know. That's what shaping is. You know, you always try to create weaknesses and create targets for your attack. So now this square is a very, very weak, and that's what white is gonna do to take advantage of that weakness. So that's all about strategy. You wanna take advantage of weaknesses already created, or you induce weaknesses. You wanna, by exploiting those weaknesses, you get some advantage that you wanna materialize then into something tangible. So let's see. So now this guy is, the square is kind of weak, and what's the next move? Now knight move. Knight move. It looks at what I said before, and we go quick over the game, and then I get back. It looks like that I merged. I'm already. Oh, we can do it. You see, remember that release in the center when D pawn took a white C pawn? Remember that? earlier in the game, that release in the center, that left the e4 under with no control from black army. So you see, now knight is using that square, the springboard, to enter the fray. And of course, attacking the black squares here. If black pawn is still here, this is impossible. This would be impossible, right? So you see, any move we make, it's lots of responsibility. It's a liability of every, especially pawn moves, because we cannot go backwards, right? So you see, knight is using a central square to join in the attack. This guy takes the pawn, I think. Yep.
That's a mistake.
Well, yeah, opening up lines, that's for sure. But because now that knight, I mean, so he wanted to stop at least intrusion here, but that's not from where the danger is looming. So knight takes.
I think that's even forced though, because the knight has no mobility.
Right.
He's got no squares. It's not like it was just a bad move.
Right.
Where could it go?
That's also quite
But he could protect.
an observation,
He
right?
could protect F6, though, by staying there.
F6.
That's right. That's
He wants to protect that.
The sun takes that pawn.
You want to get
Look at
have
the
to
knight.
get back.
Yeah, look at the knight. One move away from, if he doesn't, I mean, that's the only square, right?
Yeah, it can go anywhere.
Right.
No valid moves for the knight. So if black wants to get it back into the game, right? Whatever it is, the second player takes, and now queen move. Queen positioned herself on that important diagonal, right? And through the knight, influencing that square. You see two units aiming at F6. For the rest of the game, it's cooperation of queen and knight that's gonna give victory to the first player. That's another thing, very important in chess, cooperation, team play. Here it's only two. Bishop helped to create that weakness, right? That rook helped before, you know, to delay that and stop that central breakthrough, right? This guy doing nothing basically, right? So it's a queen and knight now. So you see that everything started with that bishop exchange that wasn't fortunate for black. White sensed that weakness could be further induced by that battery, queen and bishop to make that pawn go forward, right? Still creating even more weaknesses here with that dark square complex, right? So now the situation is ripe. White shaped the battle in such a way that now everything is almost finished. It came to the point where, you know, white decisively strikes. And that's a point, that's one of points in this great game. They say tactics, chess is all tactics, 99% tactics, that's fine. But without strategy in place, you can't do much. Because that battle is all about either having initiative and offense. The other side has to react to you, right? So it's an initiative. The other side is a with reduced options. You know, they need to react to it, and they try to get that initiative out of your hands. So basically, that's something that by shaping the opponent, right? You came into a situation where it's over, it's almost over. Nothing comes by itself. You know, they all studying tactics, all those tactics, deflection, a double attack or something, but you need to do something. You need to shape your opponent to get into a favorable position. So you can bring in your opponent on your terms. That's important. So tactics, the situation where tactic is there, maybe you don't see it sometimes. At least us. I mean, this guy, it looks like he saw what he knew what he was doing, but basically you need to build up your position. You need to set your pieces in such a way that your opponent is reducing options for the other side, and then, you know, tactics is simply, it's there, it's right. It's just for you to see it or just for you to execute. So that's what happens here. Knight removes here while protecting that intrusion square, which is very weak. So it looks for now that two pieces attacking and two black pieces are defending that intrusion square. So it looks like there is a balance, no danger for second player. If we see that this is a critical, this is a center of gravity, so to speak, here. Because if knight takes in here, it would be attack and very nasty things. So the tactics quite naturally coming here, right? How can we 2 times attacking, 2 times defending, so how can we remove one of the defenders? A rook move. So natural, right? To do. This guy takes, and now we got control over here. Knight gets in. You see how that a nice route made possible because of that release in the center at move 10, whatever. Now, queen and knight.